I can remember my first video game experience like it was yesterday. I came home from school and my dad had a box from eBay on our dining room table. He told me to close my eyes, and when I opened them, I had a PlayStation 1 controller in my hand. You know those cheap aftermarket translucent ones that didn't always work right? Yeah, it was one of those. I was so excited, I ran upstairs right away and booted up NASCAR Rumble. Which, by the way, is the best EA game ever made. Not like that's really saying much, but I mean, you could throw literal tornadoes at other cars. This was awesome. I was opened up to a whole new world of possibilities, and my 6-year-old brain couldn't handle it. But I haven't felt that way about a game in a long time. The last time I can remember really being in awe about a game and fully immersed was in 6th grade when Skyrim came out. Since then I've grown up, I'm smarter, wiser, and I see the world very differently than I did when I was 6. And the most disappointing part is that I'm sure that my 6-year-old self would absolutely lose it if he saw my Steam library or the hardware that we have access to today, or hell, even the games that are coming out today. But I'm much harder to please nowadays. When I was a kid, all a game had to do was have some kind of awesome feature and I was hooked. I don't think games when I was a kid were inherently better. There are plenty of games today that are objectively better than my childhood favorites that just don't pique my interest right now. This topic has become really popular online recently, and I don't think it's just about video games. I think it's about growing up in general and how our mindsets change as a result. I think the thing we miss the most is the mindset of being a kid, where your biggest concern is how many coal you're going to mine in Falador when you get home from school, and not paying bills and worrying about making next month's rent. Being a kid was so simple. We were so easy to please. Whether it was playing football with your friends after school or playing with some random thing in the backseat of your mom's car that you found to kill the time on the 3-hour car drive because we didn't have cell phones and my Game Boy Advance battery only lasted about 45 minutes. We were so easily entertained back then, and this mindset certainly extended to games as well. And then one night in 2009, everything changed for me. After a wrestling tournament, I went to a friend's house. Our parents were talking in the kitchen, I think, and we went to his room to play some games. He booted up his computer and went to RuneScape.com. From this point forward, I would go on to spend easily over 5,000 hours in RuneScape from 2009 to 2021. However, I think that my transition in RuneScape is representative of me growing up as well. When I first spawned in Lumbridge, there was so much for me to discover and explore. I was in complete awe of what I was looking at, and I had so much fun exploring the world, discovering quests and new weapons, and most of all wondering what was happening behind that members-only gate in Taverley. Fast forward to 2020, and I had beaten the Inferno, one of the greatest PvM challenges in the game. And don't get me wrong, this felt amazing, but shortly after, I quit playing for a while. After achieving one of the greatest achievements in the game, I felt bored. As I grew up, my experience with RuneScape and most games had evolved from fun to efficiency and accomplishment. Whereas when I was a kid, I would play anything cool. Nowadays, I find myself playing games focused around designing systems, management, and efficiency. And I think this is in part, well, probably in a big way due to RuneScape and how that game works. Hell, even when I went through an Overwatch addiction phase in college, I played to climb ranks, not to have fun. So, to save myself, I really want to change this. I'm on a mission now to try some new games that I might have never tried before. I even made a spreadsheet of titles that I want to revisit or try for this channel. Some are some old favorites that I'd like to revisit for nostalgia, and some are some things that I would have never touched before. You can find the full spreadsheet in the description of this video if you're interested. For example, I've never been able to get much into FPS games. When I was in high school, I'd go to a friend's house and they'd want to play Black Ops 2 or something, and I just couldn't really get into it. Now I know that Black Ops 2 is probably one of the best FPS games ever made, and just because some YouTuber with 100 subs says he couldn't get into it doesn't mean that it's a bad game or that there aren't other great FPS classics out there. Also, yes, I know that I just said I had a brief Overwatch addiction in college, but I didn't like Overwatch because I could shoot things. I love strategizing and winning team fights based on my impacts as a tank or a support role. Anyways, I tested this new approach when I recently tried Left 4 Dead 2. This game is awesome. It's not really revolutionary by any means as far as the weapons are concerned, but the gameplay is awesome, which is what I was going for to get that feeling that games gave me as a kid. Now, I'm not saying it was the same feeling, but it gave me that itch. I never thought I'd be able to get into a zombie game, but the zombies in this game are so much more aggressive, dynamic, and varied than something like COD Zombies or something. There are constantly different types of zombies throwing themselves at you, and it felt so good to just run through and shoot at stuff, even if I'm not that great at it. I put Doom on my list of games to try for this reason. I'm currently waiting on some PC parts to arrive, so it might be a little bit before I can actually try it. But Doom comes highly recommended, looks really, well, awesome, and that's really why I want to try it. It looks awesome, and I want to find more games that just give me that feeling of being a kid again, where I can just find some enjoyment in letting go, giving my brain a little bit of a break, and just enjoying something cool for no other reason than it just being cool. I hope you didn't come to this video looking for answers, because I kind of wrote this script to just rant a little bit, and I don't really have any. Maybe revisit some nostalgic titles or try something new. But I can say that for me, I have found some enjoyment recently in trying some new things. I think we are a lot harder to impress as adults, but it would be really nice to be able to find something that would help me take my mind off of the real world without sinking me into some kind of addiction like I experienced with games when I was a teenager. Because there's a really fine line there, having a healthy habit that helps you relax and unwind, and getting sucked into something that just makes all the stressful things in your life more stressful. Anyways, that's kind of a topic for another video. But if you have any recommendations for things for me to check out, or for anyone else out there who's looking to try something new, please leave a comment. I'd love to see them, and although my influence is very small, I'm trying to build a community of gamers of all types who are open to trying new things, so please discuss your favorite games in the comments. I'd love to see them, and if you'd like to join that community and keep an eye out for potential future videos from me about video games and trying new things, consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.